All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order, the meeting of the Carver Select Board for October 9th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media Channel 9 and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Carter, if you could read our community prayer.
Yes. Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility, and especially we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek. And keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Carter. The first item on our agenda this evening, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board this evening? Mr. Germain?
Good evening. Alan Germain, 24 Pine Street. I have a short statement I'd like to make, and it's with regret, and I really hate the fact that I'm sitting here tonight, I really do. It's with regret that I sit before this honorable body regarding a recent action taken by the town administrator. As you are all aware, I proudly served as the chairman of the Finance Committee for 6 years until I was elected town moderator. At that time, the town administrator declined to reappoint me to FinCom, even though the newly passed bylaw outlining committee membership had been passed at town meeting, but it was not yet approved by the AG's office. So I agreed. I subsequently was appointed to the capital outlay, but voluntarily resigned from that upon becoming a town employee, as I thought that would create a conflict. Now that I'm no longer an employee by the town, I submitted an application on September 3rd to join both the FinCom and the Earth Removal Committee at the encouragement of several sitting FinCom members. At the time of my application, there were 6 open seats on FinCom and 1 on ERC. As you know, volunteerism is critically low and few residents are stepping forward to serve. After hearing nothing for several weeks, I received a phone call on 9/19 from Glenn Cannon, who informed me that he would not be appointing me to either committee. When I asked why, he stated, while there is no bylaw or policy that prevents my appointment, he feels it would create the appearance of a conflict given my role as town moderator. I remind this board that earth removal is a select board appointment, not the TA's appointment. This should have been brought to your attention. Respectfully, I also disagree. As moderator, I don't vote at town meeting, nor do I advocate for or against any article. My sole responsibility is to assure a fair and orderly process, which I have done consistently. Historically, town meeting passes the budget with minimal debate anyway, and when there is discussion, I've always ensured equal opportunity for both sides to be heard. I think I proved that Tuesday night. I respectfully remind this board of the current bylaw regarding eligibility for appointment to FinCom. Any registered voter of the town shall be eligible for appointment to the Finance Committee except any regular full or part-time employee, period. Finance Committee members may not sit on any other board, committee, or commission without the approval of the Select Board or bylaw requiring a FinCom rep. Said member must recuse himself, him or herself, on any Finance Committee vote of the budget or financial matter of that board, committee, or commission to which they sit. Town moderator has a $250 stipend and no budget. Town moderator's bylaw: the moderator shall be elected for 3 years, the name to appear on an official ballot. He shall serve in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law 3914. Powers and duties of the moderator shall not especially provided by law shall be determined by the rules and practices contained within Robert's Rules of Order as far as they are adapted to the conditions and powers of the town. So there is no restriction, either by bylaw or statute, that would prohibit my appointment to FinCom. This lends further weight to my belief that the rejection of my application is either discriminatory or it's retaliatory. FinCom is now down to 4 members following a recent resignation, leaving open 7 seats. As Chairman Townsend once said to me in relation to a conservation appointment, there would be no choice but to appoint this individual if there was an opening and only one applicant. In that case, another applicant did step up, and that other applicant was appointed. Today, the situation is different. Few, if any, are stepping up. And you asked me last Tuesday to announce from the podium at town meeting of all the vacancies on boards and committees, and even to the point that there is an application on the back of the form. And that was in every warrant. And I did that. I urge this board to take a more active role in examining what is really happening in this town hall. Why is it so difficult to recruit volunteers? Why are those who are willing to serve being denied that opportunity? I have no choice but to raise the matter publicly at the select board. I didn't want to do this, but, and not to cause disruption, just to ensure accountability. The decision by the town administrator, in my opinion, is unjust and it needs to be addressed. I also requested written confirmation on my phone call with Mr. Cannon, and he assured me I would get an email. To date, as of this meeting, I've received nothing in writing. I would like that in writing so I can forward that to the AG's office, because I do believe this is discriminatory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Germain.
I'd like this entered into the record. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Germain. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? Seeing none, we will...
Actually, I think I will. And
Ms. Dayhill?
Kara Dayhill, 43 Miles Standish Drive, resident and town clerk. And I may be putting the cart before the horse. I'm not sure what you're going to discuss later on, but in the event that you guys are going to try to plan for another special town meeting, I think we have to have some talks before we do that. I think it's going to be too soon, given that we're not completely done with the last one that we just performed 2 nights ago. And I know this is the only opportunity that I'll get to speak on that, so that's why I'm here in front of you now. Whatever the outcome is tonight, if you would have some consideration for town meeting members to go over some things before you plan. I just think it's way too soon to try to attempt another one.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we'll move along to our next agenda item, which is a very pleasant one. Acknowledge the retirement of a long-term Carver town employee, Earl Howard, Smokey Howard. 32 years, over 32 years of service to the town of Carver. So that's something that certainly needs to be acknowledged, and we thank you very much for your service to the town. If you'd like to come up, I'll open up to the board. If anyone has anything they'd like to say to Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, could you just come up for a minute, please? And
Take the money and run.
unfortunately, we don't have any of that this evening. But thank you so much for your service and dedication to the town. It's folks like you that make Carver a very special place to be.
Well, it was my pleasure. I can't believe it was 32 years. I met a lot of great people in my time at the school, and you know, it's just an honor. I'm glad they took a chance with me 32 years ago, and can't believe it's been that long. But thank you for recognizing me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I will open up to the board.
What are some of your best memories over the 32 years?
You know, it's mostly the people, really. The people that I worked with. They were, like I said, from day one till day I retired. Just, you know, just a bunch of great people that I worked with throughout the years.
Great.
And I got to, you know, only that, but I got to see my children go through the school system, and now my grandchildren.
Wow.
So it's pretty special.
Yes.
You know,
Well, thank
so,
you.
But, you know, That's about, like I said, I'm not a public speaker.
That's okay. That's okay.
But
Anyone else? Ms. Ewens?
I just wanted to say thank you, and also, my son remembers you well,
Oh,
fondly.
Good, yeah, that was the other thing, the kids.
Yeah, the kids.
You know, from now, you know, when I first started, now they're all in their 40s. So,
Yeah.
so time flies, but
Yeah.
thank you for the honor. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
Connor?
much.
Well, first I want to say, great nickname.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for your 32 years. You don't see that very often, so appreciate all your
Well, thanks.
efforts.
Like I said, thanks for the honor. Appreciate it.
I also want to thank you for your 32 years. That's quite an honor, especially like Johnson nowadays. And I'm sure you'll miss it, but I'm sure you're looking forward to retirement as well.
Yeah,
You certainly earned it.
So it's been a month, and so far so good.
Well, we don't have any monetary compensation for you, but we do have a select board citation that we'd like to present you with. So if the board would like to step up, and Mr. Howard, you'd like to just come up? Yeah, okay. Take a quick photo? Yeah, absolutely. Would any members of the family like to fly? All right.
Give me the citation.
There you go. Don't forget that.
Well, that front,
Yep.
put it up.
Hold it. There you go.
Thanks again.
Congratulations.
Well, also this evening, we have another select board citation to present for our fire chief, Craig Weston, who just passed 20 years of service to the town of Carver as our fire chief. The chief, as we all know, is a very humble man, and he chose not to attend the meeting this evening, but certainly we want to recognize him and thank him for all his dedicated service. You know, really, you think of the Carver Fire Service, the way it operates, the unique way it operates. 20 years as fire chief. Carver really has a lot. They owe a lot to Chief Weston, and we really owe him a world of thanks. So we will pass this along to him, and once again, thank him for his service. And Ms. Ewens.
Yes, I just wanted for people to know, in case they don't, Chief Weston is very much a team person. One of the things he tells his recruits is there's no I in team. And so that means a lot to him, and probably explains why he's not here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Mr. Cannon, we will leave it to you to pass on our thanks to Chief Weston. Obviously, if anyone wants to stop by the fire station, they can
And a
certainly-
certificate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. Okay. Moving right along this evening. The next item on our agenda is our town administrator update.
Sure, I'll be
Mr. Cannon.
quick, Mr. Chairman. The parking lot, the COA, and then the road and the beach parking lot has been repaved. I think that's a good thing, just particularly for the clients at the COA. That parking lot was getting a little rough for their walking ability there. I also think down by the beach there, I know it's been restriped. You know, a little bit of paint there. I bet they might even double the parking spaces they have there, just because people actually know where to park now, as opposed to, you know, kind of randomly how they parked before.
I think that was a big part of the project down there, is that by lining those spaces, I do think you're going to increase parking a lot.
I think so too, and you know, the beach parking lot, again, the COA parking lot had some potholes, and the beach parking lot was really disintegrated to virtually, you know, gravel. So I think it's a big improvement down there. Too bad Dave Seaton has stepped away, he was a big part of that. I just want the board to know that 11 Green Street has been transferred over to the Habitat for Humanity, so it is no longer in our control. They are in the process now of upgrading that facility and getting somebody in there, so I believe we have applications at our at Town Hall here, if somebody wants to apply for that home. The North Carver Water District legislation to dissolve the North Carver Water District and then to transfer that over under town control is moving forward. I did just get a positive recommendation from the committee that it was in front of, I want to say it was municipal committee up at the State House. Now, unfortunately, that committee isn't back in session until after the year, so it is a slow process.
After the end of the year?
After
this year.
the first of the
new year.
the new year, yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Yep.
it is a slow process. And I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I believe the new fire dispatch, I think we've talked about that before, is now at work now. Jess Yancheski, you can always challenge me on that one if you want. But she has taken over. I believe she comes from Old Colony. My understanding is she's doing quite well down there. And that Matt has had a chance now. He's leaving the department. He's been able to step away a little bit quicker rate than he thought he was going to before because she's done so well. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Moving right along this evening. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of September 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion because I was not there. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I recuse myself. We also have the executive session, approval of the executive session minutes for release for September 30th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the executive session minutes for September 30, 2025 for release.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And again, I'll recuse myself. All right, and that brings us to a discussion of the special town meeting of this past Tuesday. Now, when this item was first put on the agenda, it was really because I believe the planning board at the time still had not decided exactly what they were going to do with the MBTA article, and there was a possibility that they were going to ask for another special town meeting to resolve that. So we wanted to get this on the agenda in case we had to have some discussion of a date. I think since town meeting, it's fairly obvious, at least to me, that we're not ready to go forward with that at this time. We don't even have an article that we could have a town meeting for if we wanted to. So I don't think there's any purpose in having a discussion as far as a date for a special town meeting. I don't think we're anywhere near that. And I guess at this time we have our town moderator here, Mr. Germain, and our town clerk, Ms. Dayhill. And why don't you folks come up and just in case there's some type of discussion that comes or something you would like to say. I think Ms. Dayhill, earlier, you as you discussed, we're certainly not ready.
Sit in the company.
We're certainly not ready to discuss.
The budget to buy new chairs.
We're certainly not ready to discuss a date if there's a special town meeting at all. It may be that this article sits until next April, whenever we have our annual town meeting, and that gets it voted on. But I do want to open it up to the board and see if they have any comments on that or anything else that happened at town meeting. Ms. Ewens.
Thank you. My thought on the subject is that we should wait and see what the planning board wants to do.
Exactly.
And then do that. It is their article, so to speak, so that should be up to them.
I agree, but I do think we have to take some of what Ms. Dayhill had to say and keep in mind those dates. I'm sorry, Mr. Hoffman and
No,
then Mr.
I didn't
Ryan.
mean we should ignore
Yeah.
I'm sure she's spoken to the planning board as well.
I understand. Mr. Hoffman.
My only question, and between both of you can probably answer it.
What was still left uncertain was the planning board going to come back with a proposal to meet the December 31st deadline? So hypothetically, if they want to do that, when do we have to have this meeting scheduled? Granted, we'd have to schedule it December 30th or whatever the date, but how many weeks in advance, and is it logistically possible to do that?
2 weeks, Mr. Cannon, correct? We have.
Correct, it has to be posted 2 weeks in advance. The special town meeting has to be posted 2 weeks in advance of the actual meeting.
But I think you have to reopen the public hearing.
Right,
And I think
that's
that has
just
to
the
be
warrant.
posted.
Oh, there's a lot of preparation the
Yeah,
planning
for the
board
planning
has to
board.
do.
Oh, a
for
lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why I'm asking, because I think when people left, it was unclear, because I was uncertain about that. You can still do this, still get voted on before the end of the year.
You make the deadline.
Well, logistically, it probably can't be done, but
Right, if you change locations, you're going to have to hold new public hearings for
Yeah.
that.
Correct.
And that takes time, and you saw the effort that they put forth. I mean, they were meeting almost, sometimes every night to try to get that done. So I think it would be unfair for them. I know we're tired, and we only had a small
I had
part
a
of
blast.
it. But, yeah, it was fun, but, yeah.
And I think as far as that goes, and again, that was not the original intention of this agenda item, that it just sort of transformed. But I think, Mr. Cannon, we're going to have to ask you to, through your town administrator updates and following meetings, to keep us informed on exactly where the planning board is as far as discussions of this article and how it's progressing, and whether indeed you think there'll be a need for a special town meeting, or if it'll just go to next April, and how that
I will
goes.
talk to the chair of the planning board to get a rough schedule anyways, to see what her feelings are about the subject.
But I think that could change. I think we're going to need ongoing updates,
Okay.
is what I mean. I would add that to your town administrator update, even if there's no update, just to keep the board informed.
And the reason I'm bringing up is because a lot of people, I think the public, if there's no information, everybody comes up with their own information. That it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And if it can't, then we should get a definitive no, just so people will know. Because if not, people will still be guessing, and
Yeah.
as we all know, social media will say everything but the truth out there. For between now and December 16th, or whatever, so that's why I'm throwing it out there. That's
No,
not to
that's
put any
good.
pressure on anybody. I just want to make sure the correct information gets out to the public.
No, excellent point. Mr. Cotter?
My 2 cents, I would say it would be crazy to try and do any kind of special town meeting before the end of the year, especially the whole process of trying to get information out there, answer questions for the public. Don't rush it. I'm guessing the state's not going to do anything to us for 4 months of next year with regards to someone suing us because we haven't addressed it. And the credits that we may lose, I just don't think that's worth making a rash decision. I would also say this is now, I would argue, plenty of time to come up with a cohesive plan that's been thoroughly vetted, and I would recommend that this board, that when it comes time to add it to the warrant, when we add it, we vote on it. And when we vote on it, it's a joint meeting with the planning board. I don't want to be hearing anything for the first time at a town meeting about this thing. I think that we should have a joint meeting, ask all of our questions, and vote on it, so when it goes to town meeting, everybody knows our vote.
No, I think that's a valid point. Remember, we did have a joint meeting with the planning board.
Right.
It just moved after we had our joint meeting. That's all. I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan.
Oh, so just, you asked about some thoughts about the other night, too.
Sure.
So I had a few things. One, I'd like to say that when articles do reference material, I think the board should have that material before they vote on it, because when we were looking at articles to put on, I guess there was a reference in there to having some attachments and things like that that did not appear at town meeting, so that was missing. I think that was one of the items that was caught. So I think in the future, when this board's probably going through articles, if there is references to material that are going to be available at town meeting, they probably should be presented to the board at the time we're going through the article. We should have everything that's prepared, because I think that fell through a little bit, and it wasn't available, and it wasn't caught till town meeting that, when the attorney brought up that we were missing information. So
That is correct.
that's one
Remember,
of my
though, that all we
comments.
did was vote to put the article on the warrant.
We
did
did.
not vote on the article itself. We
Right.
just voted to put the article on the
So,
warrant.
to my point, if we're going to vote to put an article on the warrant and it comes along with supplemental information, maybe we should make sure that's available as we're taking that vote to put it on the warrant, to make sure that we, don't miss that in the future.
Okay.
And
might
so the
just help.
public sees it too
So
in
the public
advance.
sees it too in advance.
I mean, if I could, I believe the board put the trust into the planning board, and
Yeah.
they tried their best.
They
I think
did.
they absolutely did. They had a meeting right up to the night of town meeting, to Ms. Cahill's
Right.
appointment. They were meeting constantly, but they did not reach an agreement
Right.
onto what could be, what could be done.
Well,
And-
yeah.
And I think some of that came from their consultant, who they didn't have the best information available to make that decision.
Right,
Um,
right.
But I agree with, I guess, both of the sentiments I hear tonight. I think this board and myself, right? We shouldn't put something on the warrant if we're not comfortable with all the information that's out there.
Right.
And I shouldn't recommend that to you.
Right.
Nope. And I think that was part of our discussions earlier this year, where we set a very early deadline for articles to come in from other boards and committees, so we could take the time to analyze them appropriately, make sure we had all the documentation we needed, and they were gone over by town council before this board took a vote on them. So we didn't have to come back, as happened in the past, and vote on revised articles.
And then, just to remind people, one of the key reasons we had to have the town meeting was for the pilot agreement. So I want to thank the assessors and Joe Roche for being prepared and everything, because that was what started us to making the decision to get to town meeting. The other articles kind of fell behind, but I want to thank you for the preparation. It was very important. I hope the taxpayers understood the ramification of doing the pilot. If we had not done that and things had ended up in the tax levy, as we talked about at town meeting, that's a much harder thing for the town to support over the long term than potentially bringing things in as receipts. With a pilot, gives it much more flexibility to us for budget planning and how we handle, the finances going forward. So that was a plus. That was why we did that. I think we all felt that, and I just want to make sure people understood, even though the sentiment at town meeting was negative towards it. I mean, the whole idea of going there with the MBTA zoning proposal was because, we as a board, or the planning board, don't want to make a decision for the town. We want the town to make that decision, because it's important enough that they weigh in and understand the consequences of, whatever that vote may be, whether you're for it or against it, as long as that discussion is there. One of the things I was a little disappointed about was that, everybody has, they want to bring to the table their comments. They want to get up and be able to speak freely and say, this is why I would be for it or why I'd be against it. But then I think it was unjust that they're getting heckled from up above, and I think we need to address that going forward. And I don't know the best way to do that, but this is why we're the country that we are. The citizens have the right to get up and say, I look at it this way, and whether you disagree or agree, you shouldn't be heckling people and booing people for their opinion. And that's something we're probably going to have to talk about before, because that may happen again at future town meetings. And I think we have to just be prepared what's the right course of action to take, because I want to hear from everybody. Everybody has good opinions, and I don't think that people understood that there were definite negative effects to the town in terms of potential future grant money, and we did raise, if the state decided they wanted to come in and just do the zoning on their own. I just want to make sure people understood all the sides of the argument to make an informed decision, and I feel that if there's booing and things like that are going on at town meeting, it kind of shuts people down from being able to present, in a positive way with their side of the argument. So that's one thing I'd like to see that we get a handle on for the next town meeting. And then the other topic was, and maybe it would be a good practice before town meeting, I think people really got caught off guard with indefinite proposal and postponement and what that meant. So when all of a sudden articles were being indefinitely postponed, that threw people for a loop, and they didn't understand that, and people didn't know that was going to happen. And maybe if we're better prepared, maybe, I guess there are maybe reasons, but, this board goes through a lot of preparation to put articles, on the warrant, and to have, last-minute people pulling articles without our notice. I think it would be good for us to kind of understand and coordinate and decide the best course of action for making sure we understand and we're prepared for when those things happen.
I think as far as that, absolutely, but I think one of the things that Mr. Jermaine has made a point of doing since he's become moderator, and I think he's done it well, is to put a glossary together of town meeting terms that are there for everybody. I mean, I think it's very hard to get the word out on everything that could happen at town meeting. It's a very complicated process, and I think Mr. Jermaine's made a good effort to try to get that out there, and I'm sorry, I know you wanted to comment on that, Mr. Jermaine.
And I was just going to add that the motion to reconsider was right in there.
Absolutely.
And I appreciated that.
Yep. And you probably want to...
Yeah, maybe if you could just use the microphones.
Problem with advance notice on an indefinite postponement or indefinite article postponement is anyone can make that motion. It only requires a second, and then it, goes to a discussion.
Right.
You don't know what's always coming. There is no mechanism to table an article. It has to be indefinitely postponed. Those are the magic words.
Okay.
You can't remove an article. You can't stand up and withdraw an article. It's printed in the warrant. It has to be dealt with and acted on. And the only way to act on it is to take up the article or make a motion to indefinitely postpone, which is kind of a funny way to put it, because
It is.
indefinitely postpone, so this means it can come back up if we have another meeting tomorrow. Well, yes, it does, actually.
Yeah.
It postpones it for tonight. So that's one thing. The second thing is this particular town meeting, and I do agree with the fact that the MBTA Communities Act has gotten so much publicity, both negative and positive, that Carver is unique in that Carver is Carver. And people don't want to live in Quincy. If they did, they'd move to Quincy. They move to Carver because they want what they've got. No disrespect. You have a beautiful home. You all do. You have some beautiful cranberry bogs behind your house. We all have views that we like. I get to look at King Richard's Fair, but that's, not so bad. But even where my house is, it's set back so far, I don't hear King Richard's Fair. I don't want to see Carver do that. So what town meeting showed us, we had, I think Gene registered 100 people for the first time they ever attended a town meeting. So you had that new group that really had probably never been to a town meeting. Right. So they didn't really know what the procedures were. It's funny, I texted Greg and I said, you did a great job. He says, yeah, you did too. He says, especially handling some of the pandemonium. And I said, well, there was a lot of first-timers. And so maybe April would be different. But based on the outcome of those votes, I have to strongly suggest to this board that I believe it would be suicidal for this board to try to put something together before the end of the year.
Well, we would not ever be the ones to put it together.
It wouldn't be us either. I mean,
well, I think it would be suicidal for the town to try to present this again, because I think that same crowd would be back. And this time there'd be pitchforks.
I think the only time, and I'm just speaking for myself here, that we would consider another special town meeting is if the planning board came to us and said, hey, we have an article together, we really would like to have a special town meeting and get this done, and then we'd have a discussion.
And I think the same group that bashed the MBTA Communities Act would be all over Facebook, and I think we'd have the same crowd.
I think it's important that with this discussion that we keep it to a discussion of special town meeting and not the MBTA Communities Act.
Well, that's what it would be on, though.
I understand, but the agenda item we're discussing here is just the special town meeting.
I would like to work together with the moderator, because we did have a huge group of first-time town meeting people come in. They didn't understand the clickers. I think we need to develop something together. So we do a quick, 3-minute, this is your clicker. The gray box, you have to make sure that you have an A or a B in it. It's really hard probably with the lighting too, because I was struggling too to see mine. It's just, the failure of the clicker. We're not going to...
If it had an LED light that lit up.
It would be nice. We'd have to buy new clickers, though. So we're missing one, so I put it out there on Facebook.
Really?
If anyone has it,
That was
if
my
they could
next
bring it
question
back.
for you. Did you get them all back? So
And I want to
surprised.
develop some different ways of getting those back. We might have to have a detail officer at the door, It might help. Our people do the best that they can not to let someone get by, but we had people going out the side door, which the moderator jumped up and ran up there and
Yeah.
grabbed them. But we're going to work together, and then maybe some frequently asked questions. Every manual that you see, everything has that, so that those questions that people get up to ask, they don't sound silly. They already have their answer if they read it, and I think that would be helpful. And something we can publish ahead of time so that people know. I had people knock on my door, call my home phone, text me, reach out to me on social media the week before town meeting, asking me, what is this about? We're seeing signs, what is this about? And I was really pleased that my time wasn't wasted explaining that. It never is. But I did that all weekend. And those people did show up at town meeting. I printed the list out today, I could see that, so it made me feel good. But we need to educate people, because when they get there, we can move ahead with the meeting and get our business
I think I'll
done.
do something
Yeah.
on the area.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, one thing I've seen other towns do, and I don't know if you would consider this or not, but I know there are some other towns where I think the town clerk and the moderator have gotten together and done a quick local cable
I was just
show
saying,
prior
I
to
was
town
just saying
meeting.
that.
And because it is hard, you want to start on time, you don't want to delay everything too long, but you really can't go over the conditions ahead of time because all the people aren't in the room. So you've got a real conflict there, and I think you both did an excellent
I
job.
think
and
we will do an Area 58 infomercial kind of thing, just run over some procedures, the real common procedures are indefinitely postpone, reconsideration vote, and what a two-thirds vote is versus a simple majority, and then how to work the clickers. So, and then maybe some decorum.
And
Mr.
maybe
Ryan.
on some of those articles that are, that we know have a lot of interest, we may want to do when you go to vote at the polls, a lot of times you get a pros and cons, ahead of time, and maybe in the town.
Frequently asked questions on
And maybe
those,
in the
that might
town
be something.
administrator newsletter that we do, if we publish one before town meeting, you can say, these articles are coming up,
Yeah.
here's the pros, here's the cons, before you get to town meeting, and at least they have the
Yeah.
ability to read, be informed before they get to
Yeah,
town meeting.
you could even put something from the moderator in that newsletter, maybe have a page or something that describes some of those.
Right,
We do have the
information is
informational
king.
summary within the
Right.
the warrant itself. I think
Yeah.
that helps explain the article. But I do think we could, if we had a one-pager and frequently asked questions, we could publish it in the newsletter.
Yeah, or
That'd
maybe
be a good
just a
source.
little more detailed informational summary, or whatever. We could certainly work on that, probably depends on the article. Just to Mr. Ryan.
So Carver did make the news, as we all heard, listening coming in this morning. So Halifax apparently passed the MBTA zoning, and Carver turned it down, and they had the actual vote count on the news.
Was it I heard Hanson
Was
passed
it Hanson? I'm sorry, maybe it was
Hanson.
Hanson. So
Halifax is still
Hanson
holding
did, and so, sorry, corrected. So Hanson passed it, and Carver turned it down, and we were in the news this morning at the count.
Anybody else have any more thoughts on the town meeting? No.
It was fun. We need popcorn now. We really
Yeah,
need little concession stand. We could sell hot dogs.
they'll be throwing them at you.
Well, I think before we wrap up this discussion, I just want to thank you, Mr. Jermaine, and you, Ms. Cahill, and I think Mr. Siedentoff and everyone else that helped set everything up. There was a lot of setup that went into this one, much more than most, because we had that secondary room that we had prepared just in case. Turns out we didn't need it, but it was all set up just in case. And that was a lot of work, and everyone deserves a lot of thanks for that.
I'd
So-
like to thank the IT people from the school, Area 58, as well as John Neely, Mike Shaw. These guys all went there the day before on Monday. They had difficulty getting a Zoom link together. They went back on Tuesday. They did it again. They got it up and running. Dave Siedentoff set the whole room up, made sure that the cafeteria was right. These guys are the real superstars. We just simply said, we have to have a plan B, and here's what I'd like to see happen, but they're the ones that made it happen. So it's no pat on my back. I just had the idea. They're the ones that pulled it off. And if we needed that second room, we had assistant moderator lined up, we had assistant clerks lined up, we had card counters lined up, we had a plan. And just thanks to everybody that pulled it together, because we couldn't have done it without that entire support staff.
That's absolutely true. And just to wrap this up and make sure everybody's clear, so there is no new date for a special town meeting. We don't anticipate setting anything like that unless the planning board comes to us and asks us to put something together. And at that point, we'll have a discussion and we'll go forward. So,
Great.
thank you both for sticking around for this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, thank you. All right. Next item on our agenda is select board discussions. Ms. Hewins? Oh, sorry, select board announcements.
All right.
Ms. Hewins.
Thank you. First, I'd like to mention, as usual, Shane Gives Thanks Food Pantry. Be sure to check their Facebook page because their hours differ every day. The other brief thing I'm going to say is that the Avenues of Honor Committee will hopefully be having a meeting soon. And one part of that discussion will be the logistics behind returning the banners to the families that have been, whose service person has been honored. We will be taking them down after Veterans Day, but putting them back up for Memorial Day. So just one part of ongoing discussion, but I wanted people to be aware of that.
So on that, I had a couple of people actually reach out to me about that. So if they would prefer to just leave their banner with the town so it can be put up again, they can do that, right?
They can leave it up for the next 50 years if they would like to. We're just taking it down in the winter because of the inclement weather.
The only thing to mention with that is we have a limited number, so if we do happen to get a lot more applicants, the idea was that we would refresh and
That's
put
one
new
of the things we'll
applicants up
discuss
there,
at that
which we
meeting.
can
It's
talk
not
about.
really
Yeah.
discussion item here.
Right.
But they don't have to take the banner
They
back.
don't
They
have
can leave
to.
it with the town.
And then the whole idea is hopefully a lot of people will leave them up, but we would understand if someone would like to
Okay.
take it. And we have been having new applicants, so that's good.
That's great.
And just so everyone knows, this is an ongoing application process. There is never a date or time limit,
Anything we can do to honor our veterans is a good idea.
correct? Thank
Mr.
you.
Hopp. All right. Mr. Carter?
I just wanted to thank everyone that showed up at the special town meeting. It was, I think, a crowd of well over 400, which was great to see, and their voices were truly heard. Typically, we get somewhere between 150 to 175, but you go to town meeting, you can make a difference. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Ryan?
We had a airport advisory meeting. A couple things out of that want to make sure people know. There was at least one Carver resident that attended and talked, which was good. So there's been a couple. The things going on with that now is that, so the runway extension was what was the heated discussion. That's actually been tabled. So Plymouth has taken up a vote to actually redo the runway, repave it. If you look at the condition of the runways, it's like a bad road with large cracks and things like that. So there's a $9 million grant plus additional funding that they're going to use. So they're taking that to vote in Plymouth, and so the plan is to just renovate the runway, update it. And so the noise.
I'm sorry, that's just a renovation, they're not extending anything?
They're not extending it this round. So the first part of this is just to do the renovation. That's what they're bringing to their, town meeting representation, the way over there in Plymouth, and so that's going to be voted on soon. So that if that does pass, then they would be moving forward to do the renovation over there. The noise issue, so that's what part of last night was. So again, the group meets the fourth Thursday. If any Carver representatives want to go, they're always asking how do we get the word out for people to come and speak, and I mentioned that I do usually bring it up at our meeting to let people know to go over there on the fourth Thursday at the airport for the meeting. So we met last night with the flight schools, because one of the situations was that people are saying that the flight schools do a lot of touch and goes and a lot of flight over there. So of them, we actually learned that one of them doesn't operate as much. It was the Alpha one that does most of the operations that account for the heavy part of that. So it was a good discussion. I think the upshot is they're going to go back and look at to see if there's anything that they possibly could do within their business model. Again, it's all governed by the FAA, the use of the runways of the airport, and it is a business, and so they do have pilots that they train, but they will look at to see if we can identify possible options for for supporting the objectives of reducing the noise if possible.
Great.
No promises, though.
Great, thank you. And I have little to add to what's already been said. I just want to add my own thanks to what's already been said to everyone that was involved in Carver Town Meeting that put that together, all the residents that came, and all the hard work that went into preparing for that. Bless you. So with that being said, we will move on to our next agenda item, which is a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors on the tax rate. I'd like to welcome our Board of Assessors and our new Carver assessor. It's nice to see you all this evening. I don't know, that other microphone may
Might reach.
extend over there as well, which may be helpful to you folks. Thank you as always for coming in. One of the things we wanted to do, we've talked about in the past couple of years, and I wanted to make sure it happened this year. Normally, the assessors come in, we have a meeting, they talk about the tax rate, and then we vote on a tax rate that night. And I think it was
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we vote on the split.
on the split.
We don't vote on the rate.
Right, correct, thank you.
You're welcome.
And normally, we've done that all in one evening. I think last year it was generally, we all agreed that we'd like to have a couple of meetings where we come in, sort of have a discussion in advance, and then we come back and take an actual vote. So that's what we're doing this evening. So with that, I will turn that over to our Board of Assessors.
Okay, so, well,
If you'd like to introduce yourself so the folk at home.
Mike Paddock, 23 West Street, if I was there the other night. Board of Assessors for 15 years. Ellen Blanchard, our former town assessor and chairman. Director of Assessing. I got to get my terminology correct. And Olivia, I'm not even going to attempt her last name. Our new Director of Assessing.
Welcome.
So thank you for having us here. We always enjoy our time with the select board and the necessary accoutrements. God bless you all for what you do for the town. So we always, if we want to jump right in, I know there's a couple of things we need to talk about, but we always get hung up on the tax split. It's a thing, and we never have time to discuss it a little bit. And there's a few things that I'll throw out, and these guys will give you, they're here for accurate information. I'm here for a general sense of how things work, and to put it in regular people talk. Because I don't speak assessories as good as some. So our town, 40-odd years ago, voted to split the tax rate. And it was generally known that this was done to get the cranberry growers to pay more taxes. And as we discussed last year, and I wish I had the number in front of me, but it was what we get from cranberry growers now on the split tax rate was single-digit percentages. It was way smaller than I would have even imagined. So that means we're burdening others with things beyond what it was intended for. We would like our town to be a better town. And to be a better town, we need to attract certain things, right? We need to attract better people, and we need to attract better businesses. And to attract better businesses, we need to be attractive. And one of our issues is the split tax rate is basically a premium to do business in the town of Carver. And the premium to do business for business folk matters. When you decide where you're going to put your business and what you're going to do. If you have a quality business and you want to put it someplace, you crunch your numbers, you're going to see you're going to pay more in Carver than you may in somewhere in another town. So that's a little bit of a detriment to building quality business in town. On the flip side, some businesses that might be a little less attracted to us as a town. The obvious example is the two paraphernalia shops that we have on each side of the school at this point. They've been coming in. So our town, as you drive through, may not look as good as we feel like it is. And there's a certain sense where it feels less prosperous because of the type of businesses that we've been attracting over the last several decades. So this is part of that. This is not a whole town problem and all the issues involved. But we're assessors, and this is the angle that we look at it from. This plays a role in the quality of our town. The split tax rate has been used for a lot of different things. But since I've been here, it seems to have been used to get projects done when necessary without anybody blinking an eye. And honestly, what I feel like it is, trying to find the right analogy, is it's been junk food for the town. You know, you can go to McDonald's, no offense to those who have that business in town, but you can go there every day for a week or two and not notice a difference. But if you do that every day for a long period of time, you will notice health differences. And if the town continues to do this as we have, we will over time notice differences in the health of our town. So since I've been on the Board of Assessors, it's been the opinion of the assessors that we need to back that down. Maybe we can never get it to an even split, so that there is no split.
Single rate.
Single rate is what I need to say. But we can improve the situation. We can make our town more palatable to better quality businesses and make our place better for everyone, because we want to keep Carver, right? That seems to be something that's being shouted very loudly lately.
Well, I appreciate that. And I have a couple of thoughts that I'd like to put before the board tonight. Since I've been on the board, every single year, it's been the same type of thing. We have a split tax rate, the assessors come in, they recommend that we drop the split, and normally we don't. And last year, for the first time in a long time, we did. There was a motion and a vote to drop the split from 1.45 to 1.4 in here, and that passed on a 3-2 vote. I was one of the members that voted against that, and I voted against that because I thought it was too steep of a cut all at once. But I think those discussions last year generally led to an agreement among most people in this room, I think, if not all, that it is in the best interest of the town to try to reduce that split. The thing is, how do we do that without having a large impact on our residents, and do it in a way that we can try to attract Carver-centric businesses that the type of business we want in Carver. And I think long-term, correct me if I'm wrong, if we can attract more businesses into town, that actually helps the residents.
You are not wrong.
So what I would like to propose to the two boards, and perhaps we could have a discussion on it, is some type of agreement among our boards that we start on a path to a slow reduction in the split. I think we're at 1.4 right now. I would like to suggest that we perhaps look at a 5-year path to get to 1.3. And I would suggest that we perhaps consider go to 1.38, next year go to 1.36, and slowly working on getting it down. People may feel that that's a little too slow, a little too fast, but I think if we could set a path and try to stay on that path, that's the way to get it down to a better split. We may never get to one level tax rate, but at least we start on a path to try to get there. And I'm curious to know what the two boards feel about that, because I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I think that's a way to try to get there.
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan.
I agree, and it might be good if we had numbers behind it that, we keep saying that if we do reduce the tax rate, we will attract other businesses, which eventually will help the taxpayers because the money will shift into that direction and help to reduce their taxes. I guess the question is there any way of projecting or putting numbers behind that, or is there any research we can do that shows what we can attract or what will come in and how that will benefit? I think that I'd like to see us get to the 135 or 130 a little faster. That would be my opinion. If we went, I would almost say if we went to 1.4, what's the impact? And probably what we should do is look at.
Well, we're at 1.4 right now.
No, if we went to say 135, I'm sorry, this year, and then 1.3 the year after, what is the impact? We'll probably want to see what the numbers are actually on the taxpayers. But when might we see a benefit that says, I guess we may never get to 1. a single tax rate, but where do you feel it would be, a good spot to be? Is it 1.2? Is it 1.25? Where at least we got a good balance there between, the ability to bring in more businesses and shift the taxes over?
There is no direct correlation, right? It took us years to get to where we are, decades, in fact. So the idea of a quick turnaround is not realistic. The idea is this a best policy for the town that will give us traction in the long term? So it'd be hard to put together numbers because nobody knows. That's the reality.
And what do you think that split, if we don't get to 1, what do you think is a reasonable number to get to in a reasonable number of years? Maybe that's what we should look at. To the chair's point, is that we want to get on a path somewhere, and if we can get the boards agreeing to move in that direction, but we also want to see a benefit to the taxpayers, not a burden to the taxpayers, so we don't want to make it so it's too difficult. And in my other side of that whole comment, and I don't know how this is going to impact us, is that once we get, potentially get the vocational school, if that happens to go through, that's also going to cause a impact to us too, and we'll have to factor that in too, because that could stop everything, come to a screeching halt, because if we have to pay by raising taxes on that's probably going to be an issue that we have to look at too in that path too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms.
Yeah,
Jones.
so, thank you. I'm sure all of you have heard this before, except for Olivia, but I'm going to make put in my 2 cents here, Mike. I voted for that last year, to bring it down to 140. But I just want to remind people that the first time we redid our master plan, it hadn't been done for almost a quarter of a century. So the first time we redid it was in the year 2000. And the consultant that we had lived in Cambridge. And he came down, his company came down, and he was marveling at the fact that we could see the stars here at night in Carver, because he couldn't where he lived. And he made a point as a planner, because that's what he was, that the quality and quantity of business that you would need to get in Carver to really make a big difference on residents, to really set off the residential taxes, it would completely change the face of Carver. And it wouldn't be the kind of business you're talking about, Mike, that we may or may not like. He was talking kind of big city business, and that's what would change the face of Carver. And so I want to caution us on that. I don't think anybody here wants to hurt businesses by any means. But I also know, as someone who was part of a permitting department, that there are a lot of businesses that have come to town, and they factored that's a cost of doing business. And apparently they're okay with that. If you go up and down Main Street and look at pictures from 10 years ago and today, there's a significant change and some of them are really nice businesses. Maybe they picked Carver because of what we are. Maybe the taxes didn't bother them all that much. We could ask them, but they're here. So I just want us to keep that in mind. It's a really tricky balance, and I do get that, Mike. I just want you to know that. But I think it's really important for us not to forget, because who we are, it can go both ways. All that's gold. All that glitters isn't gold.
Well, that is absolutely true, right? There are things that can happen that can go not the way we want them to go.
Yeah.
We understand that.
Yeah, I know you do.
There are deeper levels of things, like just for the town, so many of our townspeople have businesses in town where we charge them X more for a purpose that was originally intended to charge agriculture more. And it's a burden on people. I'm a small business owner in town. Is it going to make me move? No, it's not going to make me move. Do I make the town average family income? Probably not. But I think these things matter. I wanted to get back to Mr. Townsend's thoughts there. Just to remind him, as Ellen reminded me today, that the classification is a 1 year at a time vote. You can't vote on a 5-year plan unless everybody can get reelected and everybody agrees.
And so I agree on that, and I realize that, and I realize that boards change and thoughts change from year to year, and anything could happen. I just think that instead of taking, I felt uncomfortable going from 1.45 to 1.4 last year, which is why I voted against that. But I understand the rationale in trying to lower that split, and which is why I proposed what I proposed, because I think it makes it very low incremental changes. And yes, I mean, we could come next year and you could say, any number of things could happen, and we say, it was a great idea last year, but we don't feel comfortable doing it this year. But I think we have to start somewhere, and instead of trying to make big jumps, I feel much more comfortable with small incremental changes, and those are just my thoughts. So, Mr. Carter.
Sure. I guess I'll start by, I came to town 25 years ago. When I came in, there was a sign that says Carver means business. It was out there forever. And when I said to my relatives that live in the area, I'm going to Carver because they encourage businesses. And they all laughed at me and said that you'll never see businesses coming to Carver. They don't want them. So then I fast forward 25 years thinking, what's changed? And we had a problem with a person that wanted a Carver resident wanted to bring their business from Plymouth to Carver on 58, and all I hear is how difficult we made it for them. So I think that there's two things. There's the tax rate that we need to be competitive with, but we also have to be welcoming. And I would agree with Sarah, it's the right businesses that we want. But I don't know if we have a person or an arm or a division that goes out and tries to bring these good businesses in. Do we make it easier for them to be permitted? How helpful are we to bring these businesses in to succeed? That's a double-edged sword, I think, we have to look at versus just the tax rate themselves. Secondly, my other point was, and I'm probably making this I'm not going to put you in the spot for this, and probably can't be done, but when we start playing around with the shift, the fact that we've got this money coming in from battery storage, a sizable amount of money, does that have, if we were to turn around and try to make a larger shift back to even 50-50, does a large sum of money like that coming in allow us to make a bigger change faster?
That would be up to the FinCom, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think it's up to the assessor.
It's really? It's up to us? Well, we're a little more powerful than I imagined.
Yeah, if you could both just make sure you're speaking into the microphone.
Sure.
I'm going to wait until you're all
Mr.
done.
Chair?
As done as I can
No,
be.
I'm done. I'm just going to wait.
Mr. Chair,
I'm just waiting.
I just want to address
everybody else
something
say
that,
what they want to say.
sorry, I just wanted to address something Mr. Carter said, and you probably already know this, but a lot of people have asked me this question, why can't the planning board encourage businesses? Well, and it's not the planning board's job to do that. Theirs is to permit the business so that it works for the town. And so there really isn't, at least right now, a way to do that. You're right.
I'm sorry,
Well, I just left off with it. We talked generally about getting back to the split. I think bringing business to the town has two pieces to it. Getting back to the split, does a sizable amount of money coming in like that allow us to make a more sizable shift without putting all the weight on the taxpayers? I don't know what the math would look like. I don't know if it's feasible. But if it is, it's probably something we should look at, in my 2 cents.
We have math people.
Yeah,
You understand?
Okay, is it my turn?
sure.
Okay. As chairman of the board, I would like to say that I have no, what's that expression? I can't.
Skin in the game?
It's something like that. I thought it was in a race, but anyway. The Board of Assessors has to be Switzerland. We can't take sides on anything. Personally, our personal feelings have to be left out of the mix. I've been here 34 years, and I'm thrilled that it is still as rural as it is. Sorry, that's a personal opinion. But it was also, from what I understand, that it was what most of the people in the town have preferred. If they want a big city, they can move to Brockton, or, a city of their choice. I grew up in a small town, so this is like home to me. When you are looking at a split rate, what you need to have is the valuations have to be taken into consideration. How much of the residential properties are in the whole valuation? And right now, we're still at 82%. Personal property, commercial property, and industrial properties would need to increase beyond that 17.2% or whatever, the decimal is. And trying to encourage people to come, businesses to come here, we have to be very selective about what we want here.
Absolutely.
Again, I didn't mean to get personal. But that is what it really comes down to, numbers, unfortunately. We can say whatever we want to say about, the way we want our town to be. I think Sarah hit the nail on the head when she said what she just said about how people feel about this town, and, and Mike too, when he said, what kind of businesses are we allowing in here? Especially near a school. So, there are things to be considered, and, sometimes we're not allowed to, sometimes the planning board cannot say no by law.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that is another issue. So there's a lot of things that are involved in how we get to where we want to be. And that's not easy. It's not something we have no crystal ball. We can't look to the future. Every year is a different year for us, as far as the tax rate goes, as far as the valuations go. And that is the sum of where we can make that change. But it's not that easy. So I would like to see a single tax rate. It'd be a lot easier. But
I think you're going to be waiting a little while for that to happen.
Yes, it may not happen in my lifetime. But those are the things that have to be considered, and it's just not easy to do. And I appreciate that this board voted to decrease last year to 140. I mean, we had been down to 130 at one point. So that would have been a, really nice thing to happen, but I don't know how that's going to happen with, the way the economy is, and houses are still selling for huge amounts of money, even here. There's one that just sold for $900,000, and I was amazed to see that. But that is happening. And if we can encourage more businesses to come in, that's great. The solar farms are very passive kinds of income to the town. The battery storage will be passive income. It's, and we know what it's going to be for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I see good things can happen here, but I just want everybody to be cautious and understand that there are a lot of different factors that go into all of this. It's not just easy, let's split the tax rate.
Yep, sure are. Does our new assessor have anything she would like to add?
I just want to echo Ellen and echo Mike. I agree with Ellen very much. One of the reasons I love assessing so much is because it's based on math. It's based on the valuations. It's based on the tax rate. It's not personal feelings don't come into effect on how it affects the town. And my main standpoint, but I agree. With the classification hearing, it's something that we do every year, so I understand why the boards would like to have a plan, a master plan, a 5 to 10 year plan. But it's just, it's an unspoken agreement that we can have. It's not something that can be voted in.
Oh, absolutely, and I understand, I think we all understand that. Anything can change, and who knows what could happen next year or 3 years from now? None of us know. Are there any other comments for everybody? Mr. Hoffman?
So just going to want to add on to what Mr. Townsend said. I was the other person that voted no on that last year. Because again, the way the economy is and the way just the world is right now, I felt as though that was too big of a jump at the time. We do have to slowly get there. What is that slowly getting there? I know, like we said, maybe the 5 years not fast enough for Mr. Ryan or anyone else, but we have to start somewhere, I think. And that's what's the magic number? We don't know. That's why we're trying to start the discussions early. Because I think we all agree it has to move. It's just, how do we get there? But we have to keep the homeowners in mind with that as well, because these are tough times now. I mean, we know that. That's the main.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Hewens, then Mr. Ryan.
I just want to clarify. I have fought for years to keep that split. So last year and Michael tell you, this, and Ellen, this is the first time, that was the first time ever that I did that. And that's because Mr. Paddock persuaded me. So I think it's a really important issue, and I'm not making a vote to hurt businesses or residences at all. It's a horrible meeting that we have to have.
It is.
Thank goodness we don't set the rate. That would probably be even worse. So just to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ryan. I guess if there are options, and when we meet again, where we can reduce the split, but, minimize or reduce or eliminate the impact to the taxpayer, as Mr. Carter is saying, there may be other ways of doing revenue or doing the way we do the taxes. Maybe we should look at those options if those exist. They may not be, but if there's a way where we could, whatever plan we can come up with where we can continue to reduce it, but find a way to offset that impact to the taxpayer through some other revenue or some other means, maybe we should address those options when we meet again.
Ms. Blanchard.
I would just like to say that the assessors are responsible for the levy, for making sure that it's funded, and not allowing for a lot of abatements or, anything that's going to hurt the levy. That means 36% of the remainder of the budget comes from other revenue. The solar pilots, the Cranberry Point pilot, those are they're part of that 36% because they're not part of the levy. So we need to be looking at possibly other sources of revenue. I don't know what that would be, but I understand that, I think it's fairly obvious that of that 36%, we get some from the state, we have to pay, the cherry sheets and so on. But there must be other ways that the town might be able to increase revenues. And that's really the only other place that I know of that things like that can be done.
So, Mr. Chair, one more thing. So it's very unfortunate that when it used to be NSTAR, it's Eversource now, but when NSTAR upgraded their substation, it's too bad we didn't do a pilot program at that time, because that went right into the levy.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody really knew. Just went
That's
right
true.
in. And so, hopefully they won't need to build a new substation, but we'll have to keep that one in mind, just in case.
Yes, we will.
And actually, this is just so off the wall, but they're not really pilots, they're tax agreements.
That's right.
A
I know.
pilot only applies to housing authorities.
Well, no, it's in lieu
By
of
law.
taxes. It's in
It's a
lieu of
payment in
taxes.
lieu of taxes, that's what
Correct.
pilot means. But it was only set up for housing authorities. Everybody is calling these pilots that we're talking about now, they're not calling them tax agreements, which is what they really are.
Well, the definition has grown, Ellen.
Everybody's using it.
The state
So
uses it.
it's
The
going to
state
be-
uses it.
Yes, I understand that.
All right, are there any other discussions on this? Anybody? We good? Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing you again at our tax classification hearing. I assume you'll come back with a recommendation, and we'll
Of course.
take a vote on it. Anyone else? We good? All right.
Thank you very much.
Don't leave yet, because we have another item on our joint meeting agenda. We have a discussion and possible vote to reaffirm that parcel IDs 87A-1-0 Pine Street, 87-E-25-9 Eda Avenue, 87-E-30 Meadow Street, and 87-E-2B0 Eda Avenue are not in 61A chapter land and are not subject to a right of first refusal. I believe we have some folks who are joining us via Zoom.
Oh,
To discuss
why is the
this?
Zoom not on the agenda?
I don't know.
If I could
Yes.
give you a little background?
Yeah, well, why don't we wait
Can we
till
get the
the
people on?
folks join us
Somebody
Oh.
on,
that are joining us via Zoom?
Okay.
maybe, maybe not. You might have to.
These are just participants, Ms. Hewens, regarding the property owners.
Okay. Is it going to be on both screens?
I believe it's going to be on both lines.
Or just this one, I don't know what they're doing yet. Or not.
Maybe you want to do a 5-minute recess?
Yeah,
Recess?
I think, why don't we take a 5-minute recess, and we'll come back for this particular agenda item.
They have good jokes.
Mr. Cannon, why don't you lead us through this agenda item and talk to us about why we need this?
Sure, I can give you an overview of the old 30,000-foot overview, and then we'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay.
To give us a little more detail. So it is my understanding that Edaville Railroad was recently sold to the Lancelot Group, and as the attorneys went through the title search, they found an old reference to Section 61 designation on the property. That designation, and actually, Principal Assessor could help me out with this one also, I believe it was 2009, maybe before, if I have that right, that there was some designation of a Section 61. They have been paying their regular tax rate for the past 20 years now. That Section 61 designation was really never applied. And we don't believe it's a proper fit for this property either. I mean, we all know it's Edaville Air Railroad.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cannon, there are 4 properties. The one that's valued at over $2 million is the commercial one.
Maybe the applicant.
There
could
are
do-
3 other parcels. If I'm not mistaken, I looked at the assessor's sheets today, and one of them, the first one on Pine, and the other one on Meadow, look like they're in Chapter 61A, but I mean, I could be reading that wrong. And then the 87E to B0, Eda Avenue, wasn't even listed as a property on the assessor sheets. I'm looking to the assessor for
No,
help
this
here.
is one of the reasons we wanted to hold this
Right.
while the...
But the one, 87E to 5-9 Eda Avenue,
Yeah.
it looks like the big commercial property. That's why I'm
Yeah,
sorry to have interrupted you.
Can the assessors give us some guidance on this?
Oh, sure. So, did you want to speak?
Nope, go right
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Speak really into the mic,
Yeah.
Ms. Blanchard.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, thank you.
Some of these parcels no longer exist as what's written here. They've been absorbed by other ones, they've been subdivided, or several things have happened. So I understand that the concern is that the town never specified that they would not exercise their first right of refusal to purchase the properties when these things came out of chapter, which they did back in 2008, 2009. And so all these people, they have written up a declination of first refusal rights to purchase the land, these parcels. I don't know whether you all have a copy of this.
We do.
So that is, all they're asking is, will you please just sign the paper so that they can, they don't owe any taxes on, no rollback or anything. This goes way back, and they just want to be able to have a clean title on the property.
So the Board of Assessors have no issues?
Absolutely no issues at all.
All right. Would the folks on Zoom like to speak to this at all?
Bob, do you want to just, Bob represents the title company, so do you want to just, to issue clean title, this is what they were requesting, that's why we've asked for this today.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Yeah,
Moore?
I mean, if I can just chime in, all of these parcels were originally assessed under 61A as a single 998 acre parcel a long time ago. Pieces have been released, pieces have been sold off, removed from 61A over the years. But the problem is that in terms of the records in the registry of deeds in Plymouth, you can't tell when the properties were removed from 61A, so it's impossible to determine when the right of refusal might have triggered. So it just is purely a title curing issue that only us princes who live in the registry of deeds have any concern about. So clearly the town's not giving up any rights. All we're trying to do is just try to straighten out the title and make sure that the next person who has to look at it doesn't have to go through an extensive process of researching and trying to figure out which parcels used to be part of the 998 acres and which parcels no longer are.
Thank you.
So I think it's clear that the parcels that Lancelot now owns are not subject to 61A, have not been for an extensive period of time, maybe even earlier in 2009. So, as I said, we just want to try to clear up the record title and appreciate the efforts that the assessors have put into helping us get to this point, and certainly appreciate the select board's consideration of this question.
All right, thank you. Other questions from the select board? Ms. Ewens?
Thank you. So I looked at all the assessor sheets for these parcels, and maybe this is partly what you're talking about, sir. The 187E 2B0, E to Ave, is not even listed as being like a parcel anymore, so that one's probably dropped off. Is that what you're saying? The one that's 87.
I took the numbers off of the Carver GIS website. So if the numbers aren't correct, I certainly apologize for that, but that's where the information came from.
And not to interrupt, but before we proceed, could the two folks on Zoom just identify themselves for the folks at home? I
Yeah.
was negligent in asking you to do that.
That would be nice.
Earlier.
Could you just
Your
identify?
name.
I'm Matt Zucker, attorney counsel for Lancelot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Bob Moriarty, a local attorney, title attorney for the applicant.
All right, thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
I'm Greg, I'm CFO of Lancelot Entertainment.
Okay. Mr. Chair, did the recording secretary get those names? Because I certainly didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you repeat yourselves?
Yes, Resh, R-E-S-H.
Do you have everybody? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Gibbons.
So, so at any rate, this is addressed to the assessor and the Board of Assessors. So it's 87E-E-2B0 Eda Avenue. Is that no longer an existent parcel? Because if you type in Eda Avenue and you do a search, it does not come up as existing.
Yeah, it doesn't come up as existing anymore because it's been combined with other parcels in the past.
That's what I thought. Okay, thanks so much. The only other one was 87A-1-0 Pine Street. That one still says it's in chapter land on the assessor's sheets.
But do they own it anymore?
The others
I don't think so.
don't, but that one does. I'm just curious. Does
They're
it?
no longer the owner of record.
It may be that that's one of the ones that they sold that
I don't
was-
know. I just looked up the map and lot
Yeah.
on your assessor's sheets, and it came up as a lot, and it said up at the top, chapter land, 61A land.
Yeah, so I looked up all of the parcels and they weren't either currently owned by, the ownership had changed or they were no longer in company.
Oh, so maybe it's owned by someone else?
It probably was sold to somebody else. I don't remember the specifics for each parcel off the top of my
So
head.
the assessor's sheet needs to be updated, because it says,
Well, it could be in chapter land, it's just, was not owned by them. Edaville sold it. It
okay,
was sold prior to.
gotcha, okay. Appreciate it, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But,
You sure?
so,
80 Makepeace?
I checked all four.
Well, I'm looking it up now.
so does anyone, with our assessor or the Board of Assessors, have any issues with affirming that these items are not 61A chapter land? Any?
They're either not in 61A or they are not owned by Lancelot.
Okay.
Gotcha.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
How can the board sign off on Chapter 61A land for parcels they don't own? I'm confused by this.
As am I.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
don't
very
understand
good
that.
question.
question.
For that 87-A-1-0, if it's not owned by them,
Yeah.
still in chapter.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't, I don't
So we can't-
understand.
we
That's what it
we
says,
can't
the one
eliminate
on
that.
Pine Street.
Yeah, Mr. Cannon, didn't we look into this before we put it on the agenda?
Yes, we did, Mr. Chairman. We sent it over to the assessors and
Okay. Well,
The one on Meadow Street that you were concerned about belongs to another company, Transvelt Trust Incorporated.
Transvelt.
That is 87A-1.
So that apparently got sold,
Yes.
and it wasn't offered to us as chapter land, because that one,
Well, I don't know when that got sold, so let me just,
Could you tell me again which lot, 87-E-
-E-30 Meadow Street is the one Ms. Blanchard was talking about.
that was sold in 2017.
And we did not sign off on any chapter land during that time.
I Don't know.
We didn't, because I would remember.
Maybe, Mr. Chairman, maybe we should postpone this
Yeah,
and let's have
I-
maybe we should have a sit-down meeting.
Can we say through you, Mr. Chairman, we have got someone that's got the history of that area right here, Brenda Johnson.
Do we? Okay.
I will take care of that.
Just maybe to clarify, Bob, do you want to just kind of review exactly what you need and are asking for? Just that maybe that clears it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Ms. Johnson, thanks. Hopefully you can help us clear some of this up.
Okay, Brenda Johnson, 28 Pine
I'm looking
Street.
at the Carver GIS map now, and that parcel is listed as owned by Lancelot.
You are correct. Yep. The one on Pine Street that you're talking about, Sarah, was owned by the Heckler family. And you are right, it says 61A, but it's from I forget the year, 2013. And Peter at the assessor's office looked it up. There is no tax lien at the Registry of Deeds. I looked it up, the registry looked it up. It's a mistake on the assessor's end. That needs to be corrected.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brenda.
Okay, so we have that one cleared up. Are there any questions about any of the other properties?
So that was the Pine Street one.
Correct.
What about 87-E-30 Meadow Street, the one that was owned by Transvelt, that is owned by Transvelt? I don't believe that was ever offered to the town.
Bob, is that truly owned by Transvelt?
Yes,
That's what it says on the assessor's sheet.
it is. I can go back.
I think he has the wrong number.
I do too.
Well,
Well,
if
I
it's the
looked
wrong
it up.
number, then it's wrong on the agenda, and
It was still owned by the nephew of LSD Atwood until 2017.
So it was owned by LSD Atwood?
His nephew.
Okay, but the point is that if it was originally in chapter land, which it looks like it was never offered to the
I
town.
think we need to find that out.
I will take all of these, I will go back, and I will personally take care of the history of each one of these, and see what we can find about liens and lien releases and so on.
Gotcha.
When it was 2017, I was no longer, I was retired, so.
No, this is
can't
nobody's fault.
answer to
Stuff
that.
happens.
This is
I'm
not
just-
anyone's fault.
I'm just
It's
asking questions.
We just don't have the appropriate information
Yeah,
to be able
yeah.
to make
It's
a
nobody's fault.
determination tonight. So, Mr. Cannon, we're going to have to table this for a little while, and you're going to have to work with the assessors to clear this up and bring it back when we have.
Correct. We'll get the team together too here. We'll have all three parties in the room
Right.
together.
All right, yeah, so we'll work to clear these questions up, and we'll put it on a future agenda and try to get this taken care of.
If I may, if someone could clarify what it is that they're looking at, because it seems that the information you have is inconsistent with your GIS mapping system.
We will
Well-
check into that.
We're looking at the assessor's actual sheet, the assessor's sheets.
Yeah.
Isn't that
We
what
we
they're-
will have the assessors get in touch with you and get you, everybody get on the same page and work this out.
At our next meeting,
We
hopefully.
certainly apologize, but we have worked with the assessors and
Well-
with the understanding that all of this all these parcels have been removed
Well-
from 61A as far back as 2009. So
It may just be a simple error, but I just don't think we have the,
is coming up now. So.
it may just be a simple error, but I just don't think we have the appropriate information to be able to move forward tonight. So I think we'll have to postpone this to a future agenda and get some more information. We certainly appreciate you joining us tonight, and the town administrator will coordinate everything and be in touch with you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
they do own 87E3R.
87E3.
E3R.
E.
So
Okay.
instead of the
R.
O, it should be an R.
Okay, but that's not what's on our agenda.
Yeah.
And I don't feel comfortable moving forward with something that's inappropriate on the agenda.
That's fine.
So I think we need to take some time and correct that.
And it's not correct on the declination of...
Yeah.
That's right, it's
Yeah.
all
Document, so it's all tied.
incorrect. So,
We also need to
so
look
we will be in touch, folks, and we will get this, we'll get everybody on the same page, and we'll get it worked out. Okay? Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much for joining us
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
this
you.
evening. And thanks to the assessors for joining us tonight as well. We appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon, and welcome.
Yes, welcome.
And so our next meeting is October 21st, 2025. I will remind the board that that's going to be a lengthy meeting, because that is the date we moved all those poll hearings
Okay.
to a couple of meetings ago, and I would just ask you, Mr. Cannon, to work with Eversource to make sure all those locations are appropriately marked and everything is taken care of in advance, so we can actually take action on those hearings and not have to postpone them.
We are, certainly
again.
the Assistant Town Administrator is actively engaged with
Aye.
them to ensure that happens. We are, yes, Mr.
And they
Chairman.
haven't installed the poles already.
I appreciate her
We are
efforts on that
working on it,
behalf,
yes.
but I just, it's a lengthy agenda already. We
Yeah.
don't want to postpone these again. So,
Correct, and we will let them know that, Mr. Chairman. I
All
can tell you now, if they're not staked properly, we will let them know. that
Yeah.
thank you.
They will not be heard that night.
Thank you very much. And I would say they should be, we have a Tuesday meeting, they should be staked by that Thursday. So members of the board can get out there over the weekend and
Yeah.
Have been
and
staked
taxpayers can know. So, all right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Fourth.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.